Well, this might be the funkiest episode that we do, or maybe the mildest episode that we do.
Or maybe the mildly funkiest episode.
Mild and funky is a really good way to describe yacht rock.
I think so.
So today is the day. We've been talking about this for a while now.
Yeah.
Came to the conclusion that it needed to be talked about in public.
Right.
There's been a lot of news lately. I saw a recent podcast, somebody pretty upset with the genre. I've seen people embrace the genre. I've seen people say, is it a genre? Which is a question that I kind of have.
Yeah.
But today we're talking about yacht rock.
Yacht rock.
One of the favorite genres, if you can call it a genre. I'm going to keep saying, is it a genre? Because we don't really know. But we're going to discuss that today. Yep. So I guess for anybody listening, you probably want to know, if you don't, what is yacht rock? Yamo be there.
Yamo
be there. So, Bryan Clark. What is yacht rock to Bryan Clark? When somebody says yacht rock, what does it invoke to you?
It invokes this period of time that so much great music was made that was able to incorporate great feeling songs, that sort of emotional thing where they were kind of just steady, uplifting, but not like, super anthemic. It wasn't like, shouting from the cliff tops kind of a thing. It was chill. It was vibey. It was a bunch of, it's just that organic nature that happens when a band sits in a room and just cuts it and gets the perfect performance, and the vocals are on point, great harmonies. There's all these elements that we can dissect. But I think for the most part, it would be what maybe previous to yacht rock moniker invention, we might have called it soft rock or smooth pop, or I don't know.
Even an adult contemporary?
Yeah.
They wouldn't fall into that category. I guess the question is we'll get into who the bands were, the type of music, but what were they? What was it? Was it multiple genres that needed a home for each other, that somehow, some way, it got funneled to that? We know about the invention. We'll talk about the origins in a minute, but were they all mismatched, or were they all under one genre? Because I look at a bunch of the different artists and I see them as different types of music a lot of the time.
I think we had the 70s were kind of a magical decade in a lot of ways.
Look at the top 100 for a lot of the 70s. It was very interesting.
Right. Super diversity. Yeah. Super huge. I think we had 5 genres that were sort of happening. None of them were yacht rock. It wasn't named yet. But think about the 70s, right? We sort of were coming in. It's still going strong, the singer-songwriter. So the sort of folky pop.
Anti-war.
Yeah.
Had a message.
Totally. So everything from, Crosby, Stills, Nash to James Taylor, to Carole King, to Neil Diamond.
Hello.
Yeah, there was a wide diversity there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had Ricky Lee Jones, like Chuck E's in Love. God, what a great track. And then you had you also had the rock side. You started to have the stadium rock. This was when rock music actually started to take off and real concert sales were starting to come in. You were having Led Zeppelin break the attendance records all over the place.
The Pink Floyd's The Wall tour, where they had the giant theatrics that were going on.
Think about Kiss Alive, too.
Sure.
I mean, come on.
All guitar rock, right?
Yeah,
They
right.
took the piano out.
It was like kind of this big rock. And then you had, so that's 2. And then you had punk music that started, right? Kind of eclipsed for me in 78 with the Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bullocks. We could do a whole show on that.
Yeah, the Ramones, Bad Religion was in 1980. I mean, that's
so many great bands that started to come out of that. And then the offshoots like that, you know what I mean? Bad Religion, Television, Talking Heads, Blondie, the whole CBGB scene. But then over across the pond, you had the Cramps, the Damned, the Buzzcocks, that all were stemming out of the Pistols.
definitely a later episode.
Yeah, right.
So we will definitely do punk.
Oh man. Anyway, so we had that, and then we had freaking disco.
Yeah.
Right? And you think about what New York would have been like in the mid to late 70s. It was rough. It was edgy as shit, super sketchy. And then you had the beautiful people on one side of town going to Studio 54 and, snorting coke off of strippers' assholes. And then you had...
Sounds complicated.
I mean, right? And then you had the other side, which was down in the Bowery, which was the Ramones. And, you might get in a knife fight in the audience and you might not make it home. So either way, life risking.
Right.
So that takes us through 4. The 5th one was everything else. Little bit of reggae, a little bit of, just sort of this type of music that we're talking about. Rock that wasn't anthemic, big guitar-driven rock. It was everything else. That's where I think we've eventually called yacht rock, was kind of like, what else is left?
It's like the funnel of these very intricately recorded and written bands. Now, so the origin of yacht rock, just so we discussed this, was there is an internet show called Channel 101, created by Dan Harmon and Rob Schraub. Very incredible comedic writers, right?
Yep.
Made a very raunchy type 5-minute, 12-episode run of the creation of some of these yacht rock songs, and they talked about Loggins, and they talked about Mike McDonald, and all of the different ones that we know now as the pivotal or the cornerstones of modern yacht rock, if you will. Yeah. And then we have post yacht that we'll talk about later. But so the creation really just came from a bunch of jokes that these comedic writers had put together. But after a couple of years, it just caught on, and people were like, "Oh, that's a great name for the genre." And to me, it's not really a genre. The yacht rock is more. I feel like it captures a feeling. It's like carefree California, smooth, very easy to listen to, digestible products, right? So that's where it comes from. But what is it? Like, what makes a yacht rock song? If we were to say, okay, it's a genre, we have accepted it as what it is. What do you think are the things that contribute to an artist falling into the genre? I
think we got to start parsing it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So
give me an example. Rough example, right on the keyboard. What does yacht rock sound like to you?
Well, yacht rock would be, let's say we were going to do, let's say it was going to be like this.
Heard that one.
Right? Yeah, it's the beginning of Reminiscing from Little River Band, right? But most importantly, it's this. It's the sound of the roads. And most of everything that we can think of, all of these songs, we've put together a massively cool playlist that's 6.5 hours long.
Which we'll link in the description.
Yes.
Very cool.
We've done that, and you'll notice that the majority of these songs are inherently keyboard driven. So it wasn't the rock guys doing Whole Lot of Love or I Want to Rock and Roll All Night or Back in the New York Groove, when Kiss did their solo albums. It wasn't the Knack, My Sharona. These were like keyboard-based cool changes, a lot of good jazz changes, a lot of altered harmonies, back cycling 2-5-1 chord progressions to modulate, a lot of really cool things. If you think of any of the Steely Dan songs and the Donald Fagen, keyboard stuff, Peg, Hey 19.
Well produced, incredibly well produced.
Probably the gold standard.
And you listen to any just playlist of, or even if you just go to Apple and look at the playlist of Yacht Rock Essentials, all of it, it's majestic record making.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what else contributes to the sound? So the Rhodes obviously is the first. That's the big thing. It drives it all.
Keyboards driving it.
We were talking earlier. I couldn't name a band in the genre that wasn't piano forward. Or synth forward, and like they all are. Every single one that we named. Yeah, we'll get into those in a bit. But what else aside from the piano and the masterful recording? Yeah. What else do you think pushes a band there?
Musically speaking, so great arrangements, great song form, very clear. Most of the time that these songs from this period happen, they're mostly in what I call the Abacab song form. Not to be confused with the song Abacab from Genesis. I know you're a Genesis man like myself, but like. It means basically that there's a verse, there's a chorus, there's usually a bridge, and however you delineate those letters to the elements of the song, like A being a verse, B being a chorus, C being a bridge, spell Abacab, you're going to get those things. The majority of these rock songs from this period, this yacht rock songs, they have extremely strong choruses. They're not in AABA song form where, the title of the song is usually the first line of the verse or the very last line, and there's not like a real strong chorus. All of these ones that we're talking about, have great choruses. I mean, and what a great chorus is, songwriting 101, right? For me, a great chorus will complete the following sentence. And what I really mean to say is, right? I just called to say I love you, that, right? Or turn your love around. Write it. Oh, I mean, come on. Yeah.
Undeniable.
Yeah. The great choruses. I think all of this period of yacht rock is overwhelmingly in this Abacab song form. So that form is one. Next is usually great arrangements within the band. Heavy musicianship, a massive amount of sort of bravado going on with all the players putting in these subtle licks, and they're just jam-packing. It's like a big multivitamin.
A lot of showing off.
It is.
It is.
But
not like in a progressive rock way.
Yeah, not like it was Yes or, or whatever that was, Mahavishnu Orchestra or, Return to Forever or Rush. Yeah. Like it wasn't any of that kind of stuff. So we had this sort of like, it was in a pop context, but it was sort of like sneaking it in, like, holy crap, man, these changes are dope. And the fills that they're playing are perfect. They're worked out. The parts work on it. No one's stepping on each other. There's perfect amount of space. So the arrangement of this form is another big one for me.
It's interesting. I noticed a lot too when in consuming this product that there's a lot of like, I'm going to stay heavily in minor for the verse, and then I'm going to step right into major for the chorus. And I'm going to make that chorus just really shine, or vice versa. Or I've heard this major build up, and then it drops and it goes into a minor for the chorus, and it's like those dynamics to me is just just more proof in the songwriting and the arrangement aspect. I think it's just so beautiful.
Absolutely. There's a beautiful relationship between the major and the minor tonalities, but a lot of modal interchange. Sure. A lot of substitutions, a lot of flat sevens in there, a lot of Lydian mode, which is the sharp four. All of those kind of cool things come into all of these songs. I also noticed that a lot of times in some of these, they'll start the verse, if it's major, they'll start it on the four chord.
Yeah.
Like that tune Reminiscing does that. We eventually do some back cycling. It starts in E flat, right? And then it kind of just does this sort of, they basically do 2-5, 2-5, 2-5 in E flat. They get to D, and then that's where the song starts, and they kind of hear this like.
Starts bouncing.
And then the very first chord that you get is this. Friday night, I was walking alone, and right? And then it goes to this beautiful dominant sharp 11. Yeah. But the cool thing is it started on the 4. It started on a G major add 9. And so anyway, so it goes to that 4 major, and that automatically lifts. I love hearing songs like that where they'll start on the 4 because most people don't. They go to the 4 for the chorus now.
Right, exactly. And it's something that a non-producer, a non-music maker, it's something that they really feel.
Yeah.
When they're listening to it.
Yeah.
Like it's those moments you and I have talked about 5 seconds at a time. Like it's like those 5 seconds of the song is like sometimes the reason somebody listens to the whole song. Yeah. And it's like those moments are just so powerful. And when you know why they're doing it, it's even more entertaining. But when you don't even need to know why and you can feel it, that's just unbelievable.
Yep. Drilling down even further. Great horn arrangements. There's usually a lot of ancillary stuff, and as you pointed out too, a lot of extra percussion.
Yeah, a lot of extra percussion, a lot of taps and bongos and things, shakers. So cool, and it's almost like vibes me out to big band, where it's like they have all of these little different things, and it's like big band condensed into like a palatable jazz standard. It's so interesting to me that these all got funneled to one place because they are very different songs. So the percussion, the songwriting, the arrangement, the production itself, the masterful mixes and all of that, roads forward.
Vocals, BGVs, all the harmonies. Most of these tunes have incredible background vocals. Yeah. So much so that they're an integral part of the song. If you took them out, you'd be like, man, this song isn't that great anymore, right?
Yeah.
So those to me are really important. Also, guitar tone. It was noticeably different than the big heavy rock bands like, Kiss. And if we're talking late 70s, and we could talk about Van Halen, and we can talk about the heavier rock stuff, stuff
like a Sparkle Drive vibe.
It was the classic. This is for guitar nerds and for people that want it. This is the Dumble days, right? This is Carlton and Rittenauer and Tedesco and those guys in L.A. L.A. and Lukather, of course, and Alan Hines and Mike Landau and all those Rittenauer, all those guys. They were all just Jay Graydon. They were all just kind of coming into that feel of like light overdrive, but it wasn't a Marshall dimed. It was this beautiful breakup point when they laid into a note. It could kind of just get a hair on it, and then after that, it could kind of clean up so they could play the cool funky parts. But then when they really, anyway, so almost every solo you'll see. You know what's not though in yacht rock? Acoustic guitar.
Rarely,
right? It's just. Yeah, it's very rare. It's an anomaly. Yeah. It's not a normal part of these classic songs that we would think about.
Sure.
It's not. It's not Country Roads from James Taylor.
Well, it changes the entire placement in genre when you add the acoustic guitar.
Yeah. So
it makes the Eagles a country rock band, as opposed to a yacht rock band. Like if you took the acoustic guitar out of the Eagles and put a Rhodes forward on it, it would be a yacht rock, but it would be a yacht rock band.
Yeah.
It'd be one of the best ones.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, imagine Take It Easy on a Rhodes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I can see you going like,
yeah,
what would that be like?
I'm playing it out in my head. So we decided, like when we were talking earlier, the origin of what it and the components that it makes, right? I agree, man. I've been to so many NAMMs and AES where they do these speaker shootouts of, whether it's big line array systems, RCF Clare Brothers, all acoustic, all that, or it's monitors where they're doing shootouts of monitors, PMC, ATC, all of the different ones. It's like, I can't tell you like a genre outside of yacht rock that is used more to AB speakers. Mm-hmm. It's that masterful of production where you could hear the little differences and variances between the different speakers because of how well they're produced.
I think that was the next point. You're totally right on the money. I couldn't agree with you more. I think late 70s through the mid 80s was the apex of engineering, recording engineering process in the United States.
And I suggested that it was closer to now where we have all of the different AIs and things like that. You were like, no, hear me out. Yeah. So tell me, pitch me.
Yeah, well, okay. So we'd already had everything that come through the 50s and the 60s, right? And if you think about audio quality in those times, they were very saturated. You didn't have a lot of headroom. There wasn't a sense of hi-fi. There was no high fidelity. But holy crap, once you get into the 70s, it's all about high fidelity. The tape stock was pristine. The consoles were perfectly laid out. All of the audio gear had a good 25 years to clean itself out and be just pristine in its nature. And if you wanted dirt and girth and whatever else that you were kind of looking for, you knew the kind of gear to go to get it. But if you think about, all the classic microphones and everything else, I mean, this is where everything starts to come to a head, where the engineers were finally at the point where their craft had evolved to the point where they knew how to get the best sound. Guys like Bill Schnee, Al Schmidt, I mean, just so many. I could go down the rabbit hole about great engineers. But a lot of those guys are producing these albums that we're talking about, and they knew how to get the best tone. Huge budget. The record company was not afraid of a $250,000 budget for a B-level act because they knew that they were going to get incredible sound results. Now, how much of that actually got spent on going up people's noses, we don't know. But I'm sure a healthy amount. But nevertheless, they were able to get, they could spend 3 days just getting drum tones.
Sure.
Right?
Like 6 months writing in the studio.
I mean, now I have to make a record in 3 days.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I can't do that. So you have to be way more efficient now, and know your shit before you even step foot in. You need to know the studio and do the recon. But back then they could explore. They could take times and, take the time to go, let's pull in 15 different snares for this one song we're about to track, and then do the same thing for the next. So I think that there was a whole process involved with it, and the engineers were just absolutely fantastic. Just Nico Bolas, I mean, just so many of the guys, Bob Clearmountain. I mean, just so many. Ed Cherney. I mean, if I can just keep going. Tony Visconti. You know what I mean?
Well, sure.
Just like Frank Filippetti. I mean, just everybody. So amazing. So I think that we had this nexus point where the musicianship was extremely high. The arrangements were extremely high. The studios were dialed in, and the engineers behind those consoles knew exactly what they were going for. And that is a perfect recipe.
Era, right? I mean, we're looking at the era that we already kind of said. It's like 1970, what was it, 78 to 84?
Yeah.
And then we have kind of the death, and we go into post-yacht. But before we get into any of that, I want to talk more about who was making the music.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously you have a Christopher Cross record over there.
Oh, yeah.
If you pull that record...
That's my OG.
You pull that record and you read the back of it.
Yeah.
To see who's on it. Why don't give us a taste. Tell us who played on this record.
Sure. Okay. So you have Tommy Taylor on drums. You have Rob Moore on keyboards. You got Larry Carlton on guitar. You have Lenny Castro on percussion. Victor Feldman on percussion. Chuck Finley on trumpet. Jay Graydon on guitar. You have Eric Johnson on guitar. You have Don Henley as background vocals. Jim Horn on saxophone. You've got Nicolette Larson on background vocals. You have...
Slouches.
You have... I mean, the worst ones are Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
You know? Right? I mean, there's so many. I mean, J.D. Souther. You know, now, Chris is a little bit of a weird example, though, because he was a Texas boy.
Yeah.
And so
not California.
No. And when we're thinking about yacht rock, we need to acknowledge that there's two epicenters. He was the outlier. This was an Austin contingent that he brought in to make this happen, right? He was a Texas boy. But if you think, most of it stemmed from you can tell the East Coast yacht rock from the West Coast yacht rock. East Coast yacht rock is going to be Steely Dan primarily. And then if we had to have one sort of representative from West Coast, who would you pick?
The Doobie Brothers.
Yeah, or Toto.
Or Toto. Yeah.
Right? Either one, you know. And I wouldn't really, you know, I love Steve Lukather. You know, I have the same birthday, strangely.
Really?
Yeah. But that doesn't mean I can't play guitar like he can. But
who can?
Yeah, he's amazing.
He really is.
But the cool thing about all this is in LA, a lot of these guys were moonlighting on so many thousands of recordings. And I think that's what drove all of these songs from B-level, you know, sort of one-hit wonders, so to speak, but they were really solid bands like Ambrosia. You know what I mean? Or if you look at the guys in the band, you're going to find that, you know, that Lukather may have played guitar on this. And then it spanned out, right, as we got further into the 80s, even into 83 with Thriller, right? It's basically Toto being the backup band for Thriller.
I even mentioned, I thought Thriller was kind of a yacht rock record.
I can't go there.
I know you can't, but it's soul. And we'll talk about the you know, what the genre actually is. But so Doobie Brothers, obviously Michael McDonald, such huge. Yeah. I mean, he's kind of like the godfather of yacht rock, right? If you were to say who's the captain,
I think he's the godfather of white soul.
Just blue-eyed soul is what they called it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it's soul, and he's just he's amazing. Yeah. One of the greatest singers, you know, out there ever. And
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but the temperament that he was able to bring. You know, to like What a Fool Believes or, you know, Minute by Minute or some of those classic, you know, especially off that album, Taking It to the Streets even, you know, which has still got a little bit of the old Doobie Brothers, you know, the jam rock band. But God, man, I mean, or I Keep Forgetting, you know, I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore. That one.
Pretty good McDonald.
You know what I mean?
Everybody has tried to do a Michael McDonald.
Everybody. And because it's such a tribute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His style, like no one ever goes, he's such a bad singer. No one ever makes fun of Michael McDonald in that way.
No.
You when you do a Michael McDonald impression, you're doing like, this guy's such a badass, I'm just going to try to imitate it. It's like people doing Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles.
Right. Exactly.
It's never in a pejorative sense.
Yeah.
It's 100% glow.
Yeah.
So.
It's a serious form of flattery.
I think in the truest way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no like, you know, barb in there. It's real.
I always love the SCTV episode when they're recording Ride Like the Wind and you see Rick Moranis playing Michael McDonald. You see him cruising in the car trying to get to the studio. He gets in right in time, right on beat, walks into the recording studio, sings the line, walks out of the recording studio, picks one, shakes his hand.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
If you care about your
so
sound, you
iconic.
can't ignore the most critical link in your signal chain, your cable. Astrope cables are engineered using advanced materials, precision geometry, and disciplined manufacturing to preserve your tone, reduce noise, and deliver unmatched clarity. Designed and built in the USA, they're trusted by professional musicians, producers, and engineers around the world. From the studio to the stage, Astrope helps your signal arrive intact, rich, detailed, and true to its source. Don't just play. Be heard the way that you're meant to. Upgrade your sound at astrope.com. Astrope. Better signal, better sound.
Astrope puts a halo around my sound. Nothing else captures and conveys the nuance and articulation like these cables do. Astrope makes everything sound better, whether I'm tracking or mixing. The depth and sonic dimension is something you need to experience for yourself.
What do you think the most famous of the genre are? What are the tracks that really, if someone were to say, I like yacht rock, what are their 3 songs in their head that they're thinking about?
Okay, 3 songs for me, my top 3 that would define it.
I'm probably going to agree with you, so let's just call it the top.
Okay, first, Christopher Cross Sailing.
Sailing.
We're gonna hit all the coasts. So we got Texas.
That's
Then we're gonna have then we're gonna have Hey 19, Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
Yep, and then What a Fool Believes.
What a Fool Believes.
From the Doobies. That would be probably the 3 that I think most people go, oh yeah, that's what yacht rock is.
Sure. And they're pretty different tracks, to be honest. I mean, when you listen to them, Christopher Cross Sailing, guitar forward. I remember the video of him playing that double-necked Stratocaster.
Yeah, it was 12-string on top.
12-string on top, 6 on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's the only time I believe that I've ever seen a double-neck Stratocaster. It's an odd guitar. Usually you see the SG as a double-neck.
Yeah.
Some knockoff.
But I mean, think about that. I mean, he was coming into this whole thing self-financing his demos from selling weed.
Right.
Right? It was super profitable, and then that's what he's said himself. And
I know, that was the funniest.
Right? And he took his money, plowed it back in, got some studio gear, and started making records. But when that record came out, I say that record, it's this record.
Yeah.
Right? When this record came out, it won 5 Grammys, including Artist of the Year.
And Best New Artist.
Yeah. Yeah. Best New Artist.
That's the big Grammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on it, you have Ride Like the Wind and you have Sailing on it, which are 2 of his biggest hits, period.
And 2 of the biggest of the genre.
Yeah.
Ride Like the Wind.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so many great songs because, I mean, yacht rock is, it's sort of like no one really knows what it is. I think you asked the right question, which is like, is it a genre?
Is it really? Or is it a joke?
I don't think it's a joke.
It started as a joke, right?
I don't know. It's like, I don't think it's a joke because I don't think people are making fun of the music. The music is fantastic. Right. It's some of the best songs. People still love listening to it. And I mean, I remember I used to play bass back in this, and I was in a gospel band back in church, back in Dallas. And I just remember this is on the other side of Dallas for me. I didn't grow up in South Dallas. I was sort of in that sort of central Dallas, kind of. And but going down to Oak Cliff, which is predominantly African American, and getting to hang with my buddies down there, and we could play music. Man, anytime, Minute by Minute came on or whatever, they were grooving hard to it. They loved it. I mean, it was the same thing. I say we all loved it. But just in the same token, if Teddy Pendergrass came on, looks like another love TKO. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, that's my bad Teddy. I'm not even in the right key. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I hear that stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, man. If I could sing like one guy, a sidebar, that's my guy.
Teddy.
I'd want to sing like Teddy Pendergrass. He could sing.
You're not alone, I'm sure.
I'm probably not. Probably not. He was so good.
So, and you mentioned it again, like I said earlier, is like it's not really a genre, right? It's a descriptor in a way of a feeling that the music makes,
and of this little narrow window of time.
Right. It's a very short window of time.
Yeah.
How many songs are there? A few hundred, probably. Yeah. Maybe 1,000 tops.
Yeah.
And, we talked about genre, as it being a genre, genre was an organic thing that evolved to be able to put things into compartments to sell records, right? So you could be able to put, you go to the record store and there's heavy metal and there's classic rock, soul, country, descriptors, right? And then it gets a little wild when we started looking at metal and seeing the amount of different genres that have spawned in metal. One of the craziest lists I've ever read, and it just went on forever.
Yeah.
But I don't really see it as a genre. I see it as a feeling, right? It's kind of a descriptor of the feeling that you get. The California air, cruising on the boat. It's very chill. It's like if you were cruising in a yacht, it seems very appropriate, right? It's the appropriate music in a way.
Yeah.
But it did die. It was a very short period of time.
Yeah, I think taste changed. But okay, so if we want to go into, so this is our the narrative that I think we're kind of landing on in a way of like, how do we make sense of this in a historical perspective and on that timeline? 78 to 84. Yep. I think it's kind of that's the bookends, at least for me.
Right.
I don't want to speak for you.
Well, we looked for the Billboard, right? We looked to see where popularity was.
Yeah, yeah. And because think of those classic songs. Like, let's just look at the classic songs from Steely Dan. You've got Peg, you've got Hey 19, you've got Deacon Blue, right? But those at the end of 78, that was the first time that Steely Dan was on the charts.
Right.
And then the next time they were on, it was back in 80. Well, 80 is this.
Right.
Right? This is 1980. And so and then you think about the Doobie Brothers, same thing, right? They're coming in. So it's like this weird thing that just starts to happen, and all these songs go really well together. But I think musically, the reason why they all fit together makes more sense of calling it a genre than a commercial-based sort of artifice that we tack onto it and go, well, this is yacht rock, and it'll fit in Tower Records or Amoeba or Peaches or, all the great old record stores that are no longer in existence.
Well, the capitalist, to me, is the capitalism behind the record industry is what killed the genre of music, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Once we got to 1984, 85, it was more about creating as much quantity of music as you could. And once, there's an inflection point of when you create more and more and more of something, the odds are that a larger percentage is going to suck.
Yeah.
Right. So when I look at, the mid 80s, as we were seeing more records being sold, the advent of MTV being a vehicle for advertising record sales, and all of a sudden Donald Fagen's mug is on TV, and the little girls didn't want to go buy a Donald Fagen Steely Dan CD, right? Or Christopher Cross, which some say that his career just got destroyed by MTV by him being on there.
Yeah.
And so as the engine grows and keeps going, selling more records, then you start to get the dilution of styles.
Yeah.
Right. I pointed out to you Billy Ocean, nothing bad about Caribbean Queen, right?
Great song.
It sounds like a yacht rock track, but it doesn't sound like yacht rock. It sounds stale. We were calling it post-yacht earlier. Yeah. And, like post-rock.
Post-nautical.
Post-nautical, right.
Yeah, post-nautical rock. Yeah, I think, kind of to your point on that, when you think about it, for me, what makes sense is also thinking of this, because we have this apex of American analog recording, but in 83, MIDI comes out. And as we get into 84, you have bands that are immediately adopting grid-locked, synced to SMPTE time code.
Yeah.
Types of technology, right? You had ZZ Top coming out with Afterburner with Sharp Dressed Man, and I mean, that's a long way away from LaGrange and I'm Bad Nationwide. I mean, those are deep, cool-ass tracks. But now, ZZ Top, boom, and then MTV comes out, huge explosion with Sharp Dressed Man and everything else, right? So, but then you had all the new wave. You had, they were coming in hot and heavy. Duran Duran, Culture Club, Wham!, you had all of this stuff. And then you had the edgy stuff and, of course, all the other stuff, which was more my forte. But you had U2 and you had some other things that were kind of coming in. But Prince, but the things start to change technologically, I think, where things start moving in this gridded drum machine stuff. And not to be discounted, you had the real first breakthrough in sort of that later 80s side, of hip hop. And that whole emergence, which devalued the whole concept of a band because it was coming from a community that bands weren't part of that scene. That wasn't part of the DJ scene. Right. And the emergence of the DJ and the sampler and the drum machines and all the other stuff, which would be a great episode to talk about too. I love all that stuff, but that is a whole different type of thing. So here we are going up, and then all of a sudden it just happened to coincide with MIDI and time grids and SMPTE time codes and drum machines and everything else. And then we just start to have this precipitous rate of fall.
Yeah, and it's the machine, right? It's like the music, when it becomes a music machine, you lose the feel. And like yacht rock is the best at holding on to feeling, right? Again, not a genre, more of a feeling that you have listening to the music. And I think you lose a lot of that as you use more technology. When we were filming the last episode, I think it came up quite a bit when talking about artificial intelligence and what that's done to making music stale and making it not feel human and making it more robotic. And I think our first probably entry into that, the first time that showed up was in 1984, appropriately, and the downfall then. And then also Kenny Loggins started making soundtracks. The second he went into making Top Gun and Footloose, it was like he was like, all right, I'm out.
Caddyshack. I'm
going to go do rock. I'll see you. I'm going to go do some soundtracks. I'll see you, yacht rock.
Yeah.
And then I think you just started having some exits from that really beautiful landscape that we had.
And the weird thing about it, Kenny Loggins is he's an amazing artist. He's an amazing singer. He's an incredible songwriter. Yeah. So no genre is going to last forever. So it's unreasonable for us to think like, because I was thinking while you were talking, I was like, what if the genre never died? What if there was still yacht rock that was going on? I mean, there's throwbacks and there's people that are paying tribute to it, and of course, lovely, and they should. But I mean, like, what's cool about that? I mean, it couldn't have gone on forever. It was going to have to just die off at some point. As that, I think what genres are part of the psychology of humanity, where we need a schema. We need a framework. We need a hook to hang the coat on, right? And whatever that hook is where we place the coat. So we can't go in to listening to music and go, I have no frame of reference, right? We have to have it because that's how we differentiate. Well, this is a little bit different from what you already know. Here's a hamburger. But in this case, it's Wagyu beef, but we went ahead and mixed serrano and some jalapenos into the patty along with garlic. Then it's a little bit different, right? Or you do the special secret sauce, whatever it is. I think that's where we come up with this, where we were able to interpret. So when someone says yacht rock, it's a real shorthand of literacy, cultural literacy, where we can go, okay, cool. You just eliminated 10,000 different bands. Now we're talking about 50 different artists from this one particular time period.
That's an interesting concept in like the cultural literacy of it all, right? That's that's a very interesting way to articulate that, Bryan.
Well, I thank you for that.
So what is? I mean, so we see a resurgence, right? There's a lot of essentials. We have a playlist that's in the description of the video. Yeah. Where is it? Are we going to get some reunion tours? I mean, I feel like the last couple of years, and maybe COVID had something to do with people digging back into catalogs of music and seeing, and trying to discover things or rediscover. I mean, I'll tell you that I never really listened to Steely Dan until I was in my late 30s.
Yeah.
So I think there's a rediscovery that happened along with the kind of the humor around what the name of the genre is, because it is still, to me, kind of funny. Yeah. The name's funny. So what's next? Are we going to get, is there reunion tours that you think are possible? Or like where, I just saw that documentary about yacht rock, and it seems a lot of people seem pretty healthy. They look to be
they could still do it. Well, I mean, Steely Dan did, when they did, the reunion album, and they sort of came up with that and got back together and were touring. I think so. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then they were touring, so they did some of that. Michael McDonald's just done his own thing. He doesn't need to go back to the Doobie Brothers, but if they got back together, I mean, they'd have a multi-generational show. But would that be any different than a Pink Floyd show or an Aerosmith concert or a U2 show now?
I mean,
you got multiple.
Pink Floyd, yes, because I just think that they would still want to kill each other. But outside of them,
okay, true. Good, bad example. Yeah, Gilmore and Roger Waters are oil and water in that sense. Yeah, but like you know what I mean, like. You got multi-generational stuff. But here's the thing. If the Beastie Boys were still together, right, or if Run DMC wanted to do a thing, I'm just thinking of anything from this time period, Sugar Hill Gang, any of that, Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind, and Fire, if they wanted to put a reunion tour together, you're going to get you're going to get 3 generations of people there. Yeah. Right?
What about a cruise, a yacht rock?
Well,
cruise?
Okay, so no, I'm with you. This is when it is a genre, right? If you're having it, but the weird thing is, you're not having the Doobie Brothers. You're having these rock cruises. You know what I mean? Where people go right, where they go in and they see Kiss, they see Poison, they see. Rock. It is, yeah, right. It is. It's like, yeah, it is. It's a literal yacht rock instead of what you would think of. Right. So again, to our point, and I think I totally agree with you. It's not a genre. It's just it's a cultural shorthand to nail down a very specific playlist, if you will, of possibilities.
And I think it's really cool that it exists.
I do too.
And I can't think of another example of something that formed a music collective out of humor videos in 2005, which is 20 years after the genre kind of died.
Yeah.
Like, what an interesting place to be, right? So we called it Blue-Eyed Soul, I believe, was coined in Rolling Stone a few years back. But I was thinking that it's kind of universal soul music.
Yeah.
When I think about the bands that fall into the yacht rock genre. So can we rename it, or do we keep yacht rock?
I think the milk's spilled. Let's acknowledge it and say, yeah, let's keep it yacht rock. It's totally fine because we know what the parameters are in our mind. Yeah. So if that helps us come to a mutual understanding when we're talking about music, bring it on. I
hope Donald Fagen hears this conversation, so he cannot be upset that he falls into something that's so beloved by so many.
Oh man, I mean, I don't think of Steely Dan as yacht rock. I don't. I think of them as Steely Dan, and I don't know what that is.
They're kind of genreless.
Well,
I mean, there's so much going on.
And that's been a huge influence on the way that I write when I'm not writing classical and jazz. When I'm doing like madrigals for mongrels, it's the same thing. Like that music is kind of hard to pin down.
Yeah.
Because I'm just cramming a whole bunch of cool stuff in there that I think is fun. And I think that that's where they were from because they had, they were staff writers, Becker and Fagen, right? And here they are, they're writing these songs that were so individual to them and idiosyncratic that they couldn't shop it to a Gino Vanelli or to a Barry Manilow or to a Neil Diamond. Like they wouldn't cut these songs. Can you imagine if Barry Manilow did Deacon Blues?
It's a different timeline. Maybe
right? Maybe AI can do that for us.
I bet it can.
That's like a rabbit hole. But I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. It would just be weird. Engelbert Humperdinck does, Hey 19. It's different. And they all have their different stuff. I mean, just for the record, if we were going to debate it, like Steely Dan, just to kind of on your point of how much I love, Steely Dan and Fagen's work and everything. I mean, I loved the Night Fly, which was his, and I loved all of his other, solo records too. But I think that with that, if you look at the themes of Steely Dan lyrically, subject matter wise, it's creepy. It's the creepy older guy that dates the young, hot girl, and she's got weird friends. And he doesn't really know because they're embarrassing him, all right? Or he doesn't want to be labeled as a pedo, or whatever. It's like there's an element of snarky, irreverent, just kind of, a big fuck you to the society norms of it, right? And it has this undertone of sexuality to it that's deviant in nature, and a lot of substance abuse. Like my favorite album from Steely Dan, most people would think, well, it'd be Asia or something. It's actually Gaucho. Gaucho is my favorite album.
Gotcha.
But all of those, if you listen to the lyrics on all of that, it's not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not good. The lyrics are not good. So they were masters at being able to present a very complex subject matter with some edgy, questionable, ethical choices, and put it in such a beautiful way that you were like, this song is so cool. I love everything about it.
It's like Epstein cringe rock.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That might be too harsh, but yeah, you're in the
much,
but
yeah.
you're in the right ballpark. But if you think about Michael McDonald, it's very, and Kenny Loggins, beautiful,
Soft.
open. It's a true love story. It's like, what a fool believes. He's talking about how some guy didn't get it or why someone left. A Little River Band. Have you heard about the lonesome loser beaten by the Queen of Hearts every time? Right? You know what I mean? It's like that kind of cool stuff. And when you listen to that, you just go, yeah, there's no like, ooh, this is eerie. This is dark. There's no edge. It's just beautiful.
Right.
And so I like that. And I think that's where, and Christopher Cross was the same way too. Sailing, Ride Like the Wind, everything else, even Arthur's theme, right? You remember that?
Yeah. Very in touch with their feelings and emotions.
Yeah. There's no creep factor. There's no ick
Right.
involved in that. Steely Dan wasn't afraid to walk in those shoes,
Sure.
and I love that about Fagan. That speaks so close to my heart.
Yeah. It's gritty, man.
It is, and I love that. I love the grit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unusual for them to be classified in yacht rock when you really listen to it. And
I think that's why he told that guy to go fuck himself.
it's like, I'm not that.
Yeah, because he's like, it's yacht rock. Like I'm talking about hanging out with basketball players, doing cocaine. Glamour for profession.
Quite a departure.
Yeah, time out of mind. Heroin, the whole thing.
Sure.
Like, yeah. That's dark stuff, and I think it's meant to be a lesson. But when you look at Kenny Loggins, and this is it, make no mistake where you are, that one.
Sure.
Dude, that's just, it is what it says it is.
Right on. I think it's a good time to put a pin in the episode for this week. Awesome stuff as usual. Great conversation.
Yeah,
Looking forward to a bunch of more episodes that we're filming in the next few weeks when we can them, putting them out over hopefully weekly. We're looking at trying to stay consistent for everybody.
Yep.
And then hang out for a little bit. We're going to take apart the theme song again.
Yeah, so what we did, unlike episode 1 where we created Earworm and it was in that sort of, crazy rock genre, we actually redid it in an AI version of it, where we tried to get it to do as close to yacht rock with a lot of prompts that we were able to massage in there. Finally we got different versions of it, and we can take that apart and see if they've nailed the main components genre-wise, if
Love
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing around with AI.
Yeah.
We'll keep doing it. All right, Earworm out.
Last week we had an episode about artificial intelligence, and we are questioning the intelligence of all of it. We made our logo, we made our theme song. We kind of wanted to lean into it a little bit more because we were having so much fun with the topic. So, Bryan, what do we do here?
I think we should keep doing this every episode just to see how far we can break it.
I like that idea.
Okay, so
country next week.
So the prompt was essentially, can we take the theme song from last week, which was kind of like prog rock, and can we make it into yacht rock this time? And it basically sounds like Bad Billy Ocean.
Bad Billy Ocean.
I think so. I think it's Bad Billy Ocean. So we'll take it apart, and we'll talk about edit right here. So we'll take it apart, and we're going to show you why the intelligence is not up to speed with a great arrangement. But let's play a little bit of it. Here's the intro. This is we'll post it up on the playlist as well.
Sure.
We'll give them this. It's like 1 minute and 33 seconds long. It's not long, but go ahead, hit the space bar.
Here we're doing it.
Okay. I'll play the bass line so you can just kind of get an idea of what's happening. Play the key of G. 3 minor to the 4 to the 5. Same thing again. I gotta overplay.
Don't make it too interesting.
I gotta overplay. Okay, here's the chorus. 1. We're gonna go down to 6 minor. To the 2. To the 5. Walk up to the 4.
It's like they're trying to make him sound like Bobby Kimball. It's got a little Bobby Kimball.
Yeah, it definitely.
To
Has
the
a lot
vocal.
of, yeah, David said the same thing. Our off-camera genius who's helping to edit the show, he said the same thing. It's in Bob Kimball territory. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. So okay.
Boring.
Yeah, it's very generic. I mean, that's about as generic as you can get. That's like, I don't even think that would make like a, like an 1989 ABC sitcom on a non-Thursday night.
I don't even think that would make a Chevrolet truck commercial.
What about a Ford?
Maybe a Ford.
Okay, all right.
No offense.
No, I mean, it's, there was different ad campaigns.
Maybe it should be a Tesla commercial.
I mean, Chevy at least had the sense enough to get Bob Seger.
Yeah, that's true.
To do Like a Rock. What did Ford get? Didn't they do Toby Keith for a while?
Probably.
Yeah, bad choice, Ford.
I think Elon would probably approve of the AI. Maybe we could do a Tesla commercial.
Ooh, that would be good.
That'd be hilarious.
We should way do that. Yeah. So that's our theme song. We're going to post it for you. There's some funny lyrics in there. I think our new tradition should be, we'll either make something from scratch ourselves and then compare it if we have time in our busy work weeks, or we'll just keep breaking AI and keep rewriting lyrics specific for each show.
Yeah, so we can go further down the drain.
Yes,
as
exactly.
it circles.
Exactly. Just keep circling it all. But it's pretty, it's very basic stuff. It sounds like Bad Billy Ocean, especially with the horns and the sound of the snare, super gated snare, which is period correct for for that kind of mid to late 80s thing, which is a little post yacht rock.
It's still so eerie. The whole Suno making music in general is so eerie, and it's just so eerie. It was interesting to watch you break down the tracks last week in the software, and then be able to do an edit for like the themes. Like that really kind of clicked. Like it made sense. I was like, okay, I could see somebody engineering like a commercial, an ad, or something like that through this kind of generation. But at the same time, it's taking jobs away from people that are doing it. But then we're helping it.
Well, but you asked a good question. Like, is this a positive or a negative?
I don't know. It's fun.
I think we kind of landed on it. Like I haven't changed my opinion yet. I still think pro side is it's fun for people who aren't musicians.
Yeah.
And think about it. The next time your relatives come for Thanksgiving, make a special song in this type of software where it totally talks about your relatives by name.
Yeah.
That kind of fun stuff. And you can do it in any style that they think would be hip, Put it in the crooner style, put it in a 50s doo-wop, do a 60s psychedelic rock. You just pick your genre. That's fun. It's novelty, though.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's like, remember going down to like Destin, Florida? I do, in the 70s, and I would buy like a Kiss shirt, and on the back they'd like airbrush your name. That's kind of what this is like for me. It's about that cheesy.
It's the airbrushed beach vacation T-shirt of software.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Of music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it's about. Now, in 6 months, we could be having a very different conversation.
It's true.
So,
we'll monitor it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So stay tuned.
Right on. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Hit the space bar.
Yeah, let's get out.